Hello, my name's Laurretta Summerscales and I am a principal dancer at the Bavarian State Ballet in Munich. And I am here today to answer some of your questions that you have asked. The first one is, what is your favourite role? For me, I don't have one particular role that I absolutely love. I love every ballet role that I do. Every character has something different to find and something to explore and create. But if I had to say something in particular, it would be anything that's dramatic. So like Spartacus or Anna Karenina, Onegin. I love exploring somebody else's life and trying to make it as realistic as possible on stage. Can you make a living from dancing? And the answer to that is yes, because there wouldn't be so many dancers in this world that we have today. It might not be the highest paid profession, but it's a really beautiful one, and I think it depends really which company you're in and which city you live in and what environment you're in. So all I can say is obviously for me that I can obviously live off of my work, but maybe in other companies and other cities it can be different. So I cannot answer this question for everyone. I can only answer for myself, and it's been very rewarding, not in just financial, but also in emotional and feeling happy with what you're doing in your life, and that you feel like you're doing something that means something to not only yourself but to others. The next question is, what pointes do I wear? I wear gainer mindens, and I have worn them since 2013. Before I found gainers, I tried every shoe that you can try. And there's some pointe shoes out there that I really like, but they don't necessarily like my feet. So gainers was the perfect match of what I like, and also they seem to fit the shape of my foot very well. So since 2013, I have always worn gainers and I've been very happy. What's my go-to snack? Right, for me, I always get the bounce bars, the protein little bars, and when you're rehearsing every day and sometimes you haven't been so organised with your food, it's always good to have them around because they're a good source of protein. If you're hungry and you need something quick between rehearsals, they're definitely what I use. And I love the coconut and the macadamia nut ones, the blue ones, so that's my go-to snack. How did I decide that I was going to be a professional ballet dancer? Well, for me, I didn't have one eureka moment that I was like, after watching a performance, I want to be a ballet dancer. It's something that has been always part of my life, and I can't remember that moment where a light bulb went off in my head. For me, it was just in my blood. Like, I cannot say to somebody it was this moment, and whenever I have an interview my answer changes because I honestly don't know when I knew. The only thing that I know is that a photographer told me when I was 8 years old that he asked me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said to him, I want to be a ballet dancer. And then apparently I corrected myself and I said, no, I will be a ballet dancer. So that's all I have to really answer this question, because it just was always in my blood that I wanted to do this, that I wanted to be on stage, that I wanted to perform, and that I loved ballet. What is the hardest thing about being a professional dancer? Well, for me, it's the fact that you have to work continuously, not to just improve, but just to keep what you've worked for. So if you work 2 weeks really hard on one turn or one jump, and if you suddenly have got it, but then you don't continually practice it to keep it, it will then disappear. And I find that's the hardest thing, that you always want to improve as a dancer, but to improve you have to do double, triple the work to actually get yourself going upwards. You have to work very hard to just keep what you have. So the dedication and the determination to keep on pushing when you get tired or you've been doing a lot of work, this is hard in the professional world, but because you love it, because you love your job, it makes it so much easier. But every single day you need to go in and you need to go for it and practice. Does burnout happen frequently, and how do I keep motivated? Burnout is very different to every individual, and I think everybody works differently, and I think everybody has to be very clever in the way of knowing how their body works and what's best for them. For me, burnout is not normally a problem. I feel that my body is very good at being pushed, and that I can keep on pushing it as long as when it's tired, then I just listen to it. I think that's the most important thing, to listen to your body. Listen when it's just tired, as in that you need to get more stamina to finish a variation or a particular step, or tired in it needs to have some care and it needs to have refreshing to keep on going. So listening to your body, I think, is the most important thing to stop that from happening. And to stay motivated is pretty easy when you're on stage. As soon as you get on stage and you got those lights, you have the music and the audience is really with you, you don't need much to keep motivated. But if I have to watch videos and stuff, which I don't have to, I just do it automatically because I enjoy it. And with social media nowadays, there's always videos online. You're constantly learning from other people and seeing maybe different ways that things can be done. So I think if you just love it, that's what keeps you motivated. But the stage is everything to me, so that's all I need. How do you deal with criticism and unfavourable castings and anything that's negative? Every art form has everyone's own individual opinions. So every director or every staff member who is in a position of power or that can change things that's to do with casting or anything in particular like that, it's all to do with their personal opinion. And I think that it's important to surround yourselves by people that appreciate you as a dancer and like you, obviously. Not everyone's perfect for every role, and that's something that you have to understand. But when you do get negative feedback, most of the time actually there's truth to it. So after your emotions have all been dealt with, I think sometimes it's good to actually think of the facts and maybe look at it in more black and white and go, well, maybe I can improve on what they've said. Maybe they are actually trying to help me, not necessarily trying to bring me down. And even if there are some people in this world who are like this, that are negative for a certain reason, you can still change that into a positive effect for yourself. You just have to be clever with it and really think, well, actually, maybe they do have a point. Maybe I can be better, or maybe I need to push myself harder, or maybe I need to let this go, because you can only control what you do. You cannot control what other people do. So you have to be very strong-minded and very clear. This is performing is an art form that you are very passionate about, so there's a lot of emotions involved. But they have to happen, but once they're out, then get your head in control and really think, what can I do out of this situation? If there's nothing you can do, let it go. If there is something you can do, then do something about it. Have you had any major injuries or setbacks in your career? I have had a stress fracture when I was quite young, and everything that happens, I think you can learn so much from. That I realised from that time that I had pointe shoes that were too small for me, and that I needed to really be careful what I choose, not just be desperate to have a shoe that I really want. It's a lot about being mature and not just being desperate for anything. And also I've ripped, around your hips you have fluid, and I've ripped this sac that holds all the fluid in, so I might just have really bad hips by the time I'm 40. But I think any injury can be a huge learning curve. It can be a very depressing one, it can be a very hard one for everyone that's been through it, because you want to dance and you cannot. But you have to be very, very clever in the way that you deal with it, that not to push too soon, because if you push too soon, you can then cause another injury. So everybody has their own way of coping with injuries. Everybody's got their own story, because not one body is the same and everybody reacts differently. So you just have to deal with it the best you can and get as much advice and support from the people around you. Can you be a professional dancer if you start late and don't have the ballet body? I think this depends how late you start and how much of the ballet body that you say about. I think to everybody it's very different. If you start very late and you really don't have the ballet body, the likelihood is that it's not going to be the best chance, because in this profession I consider it as quite unfair that I believe you have to be born with a certain amount of talent or gift or facility to be able to do ballet. I think that you need at least like 3 things. Either that you have amazing feet, or if you don't have amazing feet, you have good turnout, or if you don't have that, you have nice legs, or a big jump. You have to have at least 3 things, I think, to have a career in ballet. And some of those can be worked on by sheer determination and working really hard. And some of those things are just, you have to be given that gift from birth. So this question is a very hard question, because no one can say yes, no, it's not black and white. Every body is different and every mind is different, and you can completely change your career by the way you use your mind to transform that into your body. So I think it depends, it's up to you. It depends when you start, it depends how you work, it depends the people that you have around you. Depends if you have good training or if you're having bad training. So this is a very hard question to answer, because everyone's different and every situation is different. But if you really want it, go for it. And I'm sure if you want it that much, you'll make it. Any tips that I have for aspiring professionals or adult dancers would be to just keep on going, keep focused, and keep concentrating on yourself and how to improve yourself and better yourself. This profession is really hard. There's a lot more dancers in this career than there were 50 years ago, for example. So there is a lot more competition, but it doesn't have to be a competition in a negative way. It can be just really just learning all the time. You never stop learning as a human being, let alone a dancer. But I think really the most important thing is to be a human, to be understanding, we have to be obsessive in this industry, because it's such a short career and the standard is so high. So you need to have like this type of mindset, but don't become so focused that you lose who you are. At the end of the day, it is an art form, and people go and watch shows not just to see ballet, but they go to see certain people dance because their character comes out on stage, or you see somebody who has something special. And that's how in the past we had such amazing stars, and we do still today, but people always talk about the past. And I think to keep ballet relevant is to keep that feeling coming forward. Like you have Erek Mukhamedov, you have like Rudolf Nureyev, all these huge stars, they had personality. They were humans on stage. They had their own beliefs and feelings, and they were strong characters. So for me, the most important thing is not to lose yourself. You might have to become as 1 out of 24 swans or 32 swans or whichever version you do, and you have to be all the same, but make sure you don't lose that little something that does make you different. You might have to adapt it to be in the profession, but don't lose it. I'm really excited after about 2 years of being away from England that I will be able to perform back there again. I'm doing a fundraising gala for my nephew Dexter Summerscales Hurt, who has cerebral palsy, and he needs treatment in America to be able to try and swallow food again through his mouth instead of through a tube through his stomach. So it's a very exciting event, and there's going to be a lot of dancers there, and it's so nice to be able to dance for people that haven't seen me dance in a long time,